In the outer solar system, we have four gas giant planets, collectively called the Jovian planets: Jupiter.
The Jovian planets, namely Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, and Neptune, are essentially big balls of gas, each surrounded by many moons and rings. The term Jovian came from Jupiter, describing the other gas giants in our solar system as Jupiter-like. A lot of planets are named after Roman gods and Greek gods because in ancient times, gods are very influential to humans. The general structures of the Jovian planets are opposite those of the terrestrial planets. The Jovian planets have relatively small, dense cores surrounded by massive layers of gas and made almost entirely of hydrogen and helium. These planets do not have solid surfaces. The Jovian planets are all slightly oblong because they rotate much faster than any of the terrestrial worlds.
The ancient Babylonians were the first to record their sightings of Jupiter. This was around 7th or 8th century BC. Jupiter is named after the king of Roman gods. To the Greeks, it represented Zeus, the gods of gods. The Mesopotamians saw Jupiter as the god Marduk, and the patron of the city of Babylon. Germanic tribes saw this planet as lunar or Thor. 80 spacecrafts have visited Jupiter, naming Pioneer 10 and 11, Voyager 1 and 2, Galileo, Cassini, WASES, and New Horizons missions. Jupiter has a thin ring system. Its rings are composed mainly of dust particles ejected from some of Jupiter's smaller worlds during impacts from incoming comets and asteroids. The ring system begins some 92,000 kilometers above Jupiter's cloud tops and stretches out to more than 225,000 kilometers from the planet. They are between 2,000 to 12,500 kilometers thick. Jupiter has 67 known moons, where one of Jupiter's moon, Ganymede, was the largest moon in the solar system. Jupiter's moons are sometimes called the Jovian satellites. The largest of these are Ganymede, Callisto, Io, and Europa. Ganymede measures 5.268 km across, making it larger than the planet Mercury.
Did you know? The Great Red Spot in Jupiter is a storm larger than the Earth that has persisted for at least 350 years.
And so Saturn is the sixth planet in our solar system, and it is named after the Greek god Cronus, which is Saturn in Roman, which is our basis until now. Okay, so let's proceed to its discovery. The first to discover Saturn is the Assyrians during 700 BCE. The next one is the Greeks and Romans who named it after Saturn. Third one is Galileo Galilei, who is the first to study the planet Saturn. Fourth is Christian Huygens, who discovered its ring system. And the last one is Giovanni Cassini, who discovered some of its moons. There are also spacecraft that visited Saturn, namely NASA's Pioneer 2, the Cassini probe, and NASA's Voyager probes. So last, we're going to be talking about the Saturn's ring system. So Saturn's rings are made up of tiny ice particles which orbits the planet's equator, and it is also very thin. So there are 7 visible rings which is subdivided into 14 divisions, including 2 gaps. The first division is the D ring, next is C ring, next is B ring, and then the first gap, which is Cassini division, next is A ring, then the Roche division, which is the second gap, the F ring, the Janus or Epimetheus ring, the G ring, the Methone ring arc, and the next is the Anther ring arc and Palin ring, then E ring, then the last is the Phoebe ring. Saturn has a total of 62 moons. Some of its notable moons are Titan, Iapetus, Enceladus, Rhea, Mimas, Tethys, and Dione.
Did you know? The region around Saturn's North Pole has a hexagonal-shaped pattern of cloud. Scientists think this may be a wave pattern in the upper clouds.
So next, we're gonna talk about Uranus. Uranus is the seventh planet from the Sun. It was named after the Greek sky deity Uranus, the earliest of the lords of the heavens. Uranus was the son and mate of Gaia, the father of Cronus, which is Saturn, and the grandfather of Zeus, which is Jupiter. It is the only planet to be named after a Greek god rather than the Roman one. Uranus was discovered by William Herschel. He discovered it while systematically searching the sky with his telescope on March 13, 1781, and it had actually been seen many times before, but it was ignored as simply another star. Uranus has been visited by only one spacecraft, Voyager 2, on January 24, 1986. Uranus has 13 rings. It has faint rings. The inner rings are narrow and dark, and the outer ring are brightly colored. Uranus has 27 moons, each moon named after characteristics from the work of William Shakespeare and Alexander Pope. It has 5 major moons, namely Oberon, Titania, Umbriel,
Often
Ariel,
misunderstood
and
blue-green planet. This is Space School, signing off. Class dismissed.
Did you know? Uranus is deep over on its side with an axial tilt of 98 degrees. During some parts of its orbit, one or the other of its poles point directly at the Sun and get about 42 years of direct sunlight. The rest of the time, they are in darkness.
Neptune is the 8th planet from the Sun. This ice giant planet was named after the Roman god of the sea, Neptune, also known as Poseidon in Greek myth. It was first observed in 1846 and was determined using mathematical predictions. In 1989, the Voyager 2 spacecraft swept past the planet and returned the first close-up images of the Neptune system. Neptune is a very collection of rings. They are made of ice particles with dust grains. Neptune has 14 moons. Triton is the most interesting moon among them.
Did you know? If Jupiter has great red spot, Neptune has great dark spot discovered in 1989. This large storm lasted about 5 years.